Liliana's having issues getting in. Okay. Another one. Okay. So I'm the only one running the show tonight, so please be patient with me if I'm trying to get everyone in. And I have a waiting room because we've been Zoom bombed before. So let's see. All right. Well, I'm glad, Liliana, I'm glad you're back, and welcome, Liz. And Marcella, I think I've said hello to everybody, but welcome, thanks for coming. And oh, she just did the request by meetup 30 minutes ago. Great, I'm so glad you made it. Okay, so I'm gonna send out, or maybe on the chat, if y'all can look on the chat, and in there you should have an option to raise your hand or something like that if you have a question. And also, if you can look in the chat, under participants is where you do raise your hand, but under chat, you can send a message directly to me or to someone else or to everyone. So whenever we're answering questions, you can do to everyone. If y'all can tell me in the chat how many of you are researchers or want to be researchers? So, okay. Aspiring, okay. Junior. Okay. Hybrid. Maggie, what are you hybrid with? Design or content or? Design, okay. Wonderful. Okay. Don't want to be a full-time researcher. Okay. Andrew, I understand. You want to understand what it's about. I gotcha. All right. So technically also hybrid and design. Yeah. And sometimes that's really hard because we kind of call that a unicorn position because you're asked to do a lot and it's really hard to do proper everything depending on the project, right? So we still got some people coming in. Welcome, Lee and Yuka. So what we're gonna do, yeah, Narwhal, yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna do is, yes, Nicole, you have a question? You can go ahead and unmute.
No, I'm sorry. I just raised a hand in the participants window.
Okay, okay, that's just how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay, she knows how, yay, okay. All right, and Deb's been a developer and studied interaction design, but getting into QA, software test. Usability testing will hopefully be part of my new job. Oh, so they're going to you're going to be doing a lot of cross training and changing hats because usability testing and QA is a little bit different. They're slightly
I'm
the same.
finding that the job descriptions have that in there.
Uh-huh.
And accessibility too. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to make you a unicorn. So just be careful. Just be careful because they're all in separate disciplines and you don't want to, give them too much of yourself because there's some of those that really need a deep dive and, but being familiar with research. Yeah. What was that?
Very true.
Yes.
I've been a freelance developer, so I've worn like all the hats myself and yeah, that's why I want to get on a team so I don't have to do everything myself.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I'm super lucky. I've usually been a researcher of one on a team of designers and then told I needed to design. So I'm so glad I'm in a place now. I just got hired, laid off from COVID and rehired as a contractor and then became full-time at FFW agency. and really loving it there. They have a separate team for content, a separate team for analytics, and a separate team for design. And all I do is user research. That's it.
Nice.
So I'm able to dive really deep into it, and it's really amazing. So anyway, so let's get started. The reason we're here tonight is to learn about, thanks, Terry. And Nicole, the reason we're here tonight is to learn about heuristic analysis. Sometimes it's called an evaluation, sometimes it's called a review, sometimes it's called an analysis. It can be any of those things. And what you're going to find is that research information, there's so much, there's no one governing source for how to be a good researcher. We do a lot of self-teaching. We follow a lot of the great, content creators and people who have been in it for a while. The Nielsen Norman Group, NNG, came up with the top 10 heuristic evaluation points that you need to look at. And if you can get those 10 in your group, in the evaluation, then you've covered 80% of the issues. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I don't want it to sound like it's convoluted or anything, because there's just not a valuable source. You can go to boot camps, and you can go to the internet, and you can go different places, but the sources are just vast and varied. And so what I'm trying to share with you is what I feel is the best path for the way to do this. And if we all do it enough, then maybe we'll find that everybody can converge. But you're going to see this in some kind of flavor somewhere else as well. So this is not the end all be all. This is what I came up with, pulling from various sources. Okay. So feel free to, check me, or to do your own research, or look further into something. I may not cover it all, but I'm just going to share with you what I have learned. I've been doing this for about 5 years. I've been in the industry, the software industry, and websites for about 15 years. And so I really enjoy it. I would be doing this nerdy stuff even if I wasn't being paid for it. So I'm glad that I'm getting paid for it. So let's talk about what heuristic analysis is. And what I'm hoping to do with you tonight is go over what it is, why you should use it, when you should use it, and all those things. And then we're going to go through each one of the top 10 items. And then we're going to have an assignment. And then part 2 is next week, where we will bring together our assignments and our evaluations. And you're not going to be graded. This is just for us to play around with and get used to this, and kind of examine what this method is. And so let's go ahead and get started then. So let's see, there we go. So who should be doing this heuristic evaluation? It says the system expert, which system could be a UX person, design person, researcher. It could be any of us in UX. It could be a developer. It could be any of you guys, because you're interested in it. And if you're following a step-by-step process, then there's no reason why you can't do it. And the reason why we want to do this, we want other people to do it. This is like bringing fresh eyes in on a project. And this could be, this could be a website design that's not live yet. It could be an old website. It could be anything, or software. So don't think that you have to have special qualifications for this. I'm going to show you all the steps that you need to know. So what is it? It's comparing usability predefined heuristics. And heuristic is like holistic view. And so it's saying there's predefined things that make it user-friendly. So we're just saying, if you have this, this makes it friendly. You know, makes it user friendly. So heuristic analysis is the usability inspection technique where a small group of experts, ideally 5 to 8, test a given digital product. So why are we doing it? This is to see if the product can be used in a way that is most compatible for users and aligns with recognized usability principles. And that's where we get those usability principles. There's 10 of them that Nielsen Norman Group teaches and shares, but there's more. There's actually more, but we're just going to go with the 10 for right now. Don't want to mess up anything. So appointing 5 to 8 heuristic evaluators should identify over 80% of usability hitches. This is why we're doing it. We're doing a quick run through. We don't have time to do certain things. So we're going to go ahead and do a heuristic with our experts. This is called, it can be also called an expert review. So this is people who know what usability is, and then bringing their expertise to look at the site, basically what it is. So then how are we going to do that? We're going to compare it to the given heuristics, heuristic evaluators, use the product to flag usability problems as they occur. During the evaluation, each evaluator marks usability issues according to the severity scale, and we'll go over the severity scale in a little bit. When do we do this? We do this before a redesign, assessing a current website during the design process, after the design is done, or after usability test. So it can be used anytime that it's deemed necessary, okay? All right. Everybody seeing my slides okay? Okay. Yeah? Yep, okay, good. All right, so the benefits of doing a heuristic analysis is that project managers and design teams can organize their backlog based on the severity rating issued to each thing. So it's basically saying, these 10 things are wrong. These 2 are very critical. These 2 are just annoying, and they're not, you know, they don't make or break. It's just annoying. And then, you know, these are kind of mid-severe of severity. So those need to be second. So these first 2 are really, really critical. The user cannot do what they're supposed to do because of these issues. So you rank those, say the 10 items that you found, and they can say, okay, so this is what we're going to focus on first. And it really helps with, you know, their backlog and what to do next, and or planning the next steps, right? And by doing so, they can prioritize and determine which issues require immediate intervention. And once the review is over, the heuristic evaluators provide a comprehensive report on the usability status of the digital product. And I put a website down here. I used a lot of information from his website, but I also have a list of resources at the end. And you will all get copies of this, by the way, so along with some other things. So the heuristic analysis, it's important that you know what it's good for and what it's not good for. So let's do, let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my video up there. Okay, so the pros are they're quick and cost effective. You can round up 3 or 4 people and say, hey, do a heuristic review of this. We're going to check this, this, and this. And everybody, you know, you can do it in a couple of hours. And you can use your experts that you have on hand. You don't have to go out and hire somebody or put it on somebody's schedule or something like that. You can get something done pretty quickly. And then it's flexible. So you can do it really deep, or you can do it really shallow, just skim the surface and say, is this worth doing? And you can do it with a wireframes, prototypes, any of that. It's exhaustive. You can, like I said, you can get very, very detailed, and I'll show you an example of how detailed we can get if you want. If you wanted to do that later, but you can kind of zoom in and zoom out as you need to. And severity ratings, that helps you with the prioritization. Usability principles, following a set of rules, you can identify these problems, and you'll get to know what these principles are. And you now that you know this information, you will be nitpicking everything to death, I promise. Sorry, You will be just like totally annoyed from now on every time you see something, one of these things that's sticking out. But it's good because you can identify it. It's compatible. You can combine this with different other usability methods. You can do a usability test. And while the person is doing the task, you can note right then that person is not able to do this because of this principle, this design principle. And now not only are you able to identify it, you can capture it on video and or their quote and put it with it to back it up. So being able to mix and match it with other things is really, really helpful. And it has an objective. The results of this is just be structured objectively and well defined. And the reason why it should be objective is so the person who's designing this should not be the one on the evaluation. They shouldn't be on the heuristic evaluation. However, if that's the only person available, then you just have to know that there may be some cognitive biases in there, and it's better to have outside people, fresh eyes to look at it as a group, because that's how we check each other's biases. We all have them. We all have blind spots. We all have tendencies to assume things, and you don't want that. And if we're all working together as a team, trying to come up with the answers, then we're going to be checking ourselves. And that's why collaboration is really, really important on this. And that's why it's important on any UX project. So the cons are that if you have a shortage of usability experts, finding an experienced evaluator can sometimes be a challenge. Somebody who's lack of experience may not understand how to do it. This is why I'm encouraging you guys to just once you learn this, keep going. And once you get a little bit more experience, you'll get more confidence in what you're doing, and you'll be able to spot these. Some false positives: there may be issues that are flagged based on heuristics, but not necessarily cause a negative user experience in practice. So that's where you can kind of bounce it off of each other. Like, is this really a problem or not? And something, Deb, if you're doing QA, you can see those things too. Is it stopping the person from doing what they need to do? Or is it just bad? Bad design. It's just annoying. So you need to be careful not to flag it as something that's, that's why the severities are there. Disparate findings. Several people, like if 5 or 8 people are doing it, you're going to have different findings from each other. 10 people look at it, you're going to have 10 different findings, possibly. But it also gives you a bigger 360 view of what's going on and whether some things are level to the top. But just like many of the research findings that you have, you're looking for a theme, so try to get around that disparate findings con by, looking at the themes and the top things that came out as severity. Lack of measurement. It's not possible to measure customer satisfaction, and task analysis does not reflect in a keystroke model. So it's really hard for me to look at it and say, that is a good experience, or that's a bad experience, or it's a delightful experience. It's an amazing experience. And it's okay. I don't know. I'm just using my best judgment. And so lack of measurement and no way to really do that is one of the cons, but that's okay. That's why it's good to mix it with other testing methods. That way you can measure it. And then the limited to software system. This method does not address extrinsic factors. And extrinsic is the outside world and other factors, things. Whenever you're doing usability testing, some of them like contextual inquiries and interviews and things like that, you could say, what were you doing before you did this? And what were you doing, as you came up to this? And it gives you a little bit more context around what the person's doing outside of using the software. But this is limited to just the software and digital experience. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So these are the 10 that we're going to be going for. And I know we said it's NNG, the NN group, top 10 heuristic. I've got Adam Fard's email website here, but he used the NNG as well. So it's the same. But I just liked his little icons and his numbering and all that. So we're going to use this. I like the way he depicted the system. So we've got all 10 of them here, but we're going to dive deep into each one of them as we go. All right. So we have visibility of system status. And I'm not sure why, but there should be a picture over here. So the visibility of status is, does the user know what's going on? And are they aware that whenever they did something, like, you know, times whenever you've gone into and you put in your email and it has like a little green check beside it or something, or it says, you know, it's loading, something's loading. So the system is telling you, I'm working on it. Yes, you did that. I registered that you clicked here, that sort of thing. So it's just making sure the system is communicating feedback to you that what you did worked. Because if it doesn't, you're going to keep clicking and, you know, it won't be good. So the system should always keep the user informed about what's going on through appropriate feedback within a reasonable time. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it showed up. There we go. I forgot I had done this little animation. Sorry about that. So here is an example of, you know, like a map on navigation. This is where you are in comparison to other things. And it's got like the time, Wi-Fi signal, battery life, the software is showing you all this information at all the time, navigation. And then here, the system is loading. And this is Duolingo, it's showing loading. Wait a sec, it may take a minute. And then this one is an empty state. This is like nothing's here. Nothing's broken. You didn't do anything wrong. This is just an empty state and nothing's in your cart right now. So this is visibility of system status. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. I'm just going to assume everybody's understanding until y'all send me a message or hold up a hand. Okay. So match the system between the system and the real world. The system should resemble experiences that users have already had. And what that means is on our computers, we have a little trash can for the recycle bin. We have folders. We have a contact like a Rolodex from, you know, back in the day. That's what we used to use is Rolodex with little tabs. And then a compass. You know, it looks like a real compass in the real world, but it's a digital version of it. So this is something that I can pick up on intuitively. So that's just something that you want to look for, is making sure it matches something in the real world. If they had, you know, I think now you can see the power buttons, you know, it's got almost a whole circle, but not quite. And it's got a little line in the middle. That's, you know, a universal power button now. So it's got to match what people are normally seeing. It may be a natural and logical order. Then the user control freedom. And you see this is Control Z. And the user should be feel free to select the sequence task when appropriate, rather than having the system do it for them. Users often choose system functions by mistake, and then will need to clearly marked emergency exit to leave an unwanted state without having to go through an extended dialogue. Users should make their own decisions and with clear information regarding the cost of exiting their work. So this is user control. Are you sure we're going to do this? Okay. So that this means that gives them a chance to undo something, exit out, get away from there. And this is showing an example of undo unwanted action. You know, undo, this is like somebody uploaded or downloaded something from the Google Drive. And then I want to get out, I want to end and get out of this navigation. And then this is recover your accidentally deleted file. So, so recently deleted. So it kind of puts it in a holding pattern there for you. So this kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility and forgiveness. Consistency and standards. Something that looks similar, that all these elements should work the same. And I have lots of examples of those and can show you lots of those. But there's so many times where things look the same and they don't act the same. So don't forget that people spend 90% of their time interacting with other apps. And you want to keep things consistent with what they're normally seeing and what they're seeing on your, on the device that you're looking at, or the website or app or whatever it is. So an example of that would be like in Word. In Microsoft, they have Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And every time you go look at the most recent, it's all going to be laid out in the same exact way each time. The difference, the font is the same. The only difference in this is the name at the top and the color, but the layout and everything is the same. Here's another example. Here is one with 3 different websites. The shopping cart is on the top right. You expect to see the sign in and shopping cart at the top of each one of these websites. I know it might be a little bit small, but each one of these, I'm gonna try to increase mine a little bit. But each one of these, you would expect that if you go to somewhere to buy something and the cart, you're looking for the shopping cart. I know I just put it in my cart. Where's my cart? It's not at the top right. You're going to get lost, right? Because everybody else does it at the top. So just keep that in mind. It's like similar systems and elements should look similar to each other. And again, this is kind of overlapping a little bit with that real world. So keep in mind that some of these do overlap just a little bit, but you can see how you can go in and out of these. They're just slightly different. And then check out material on check out material.io as a resource. That is what design systems and a lot of developers use for consistency. And they make sure that everyone is using the same type of style and guides and things like that. If you don't have a guide, material.io is a great place to go. And then object-oriented design is also a great thing that you need to learn about object-oriented design. Sophia Prater did she did a workshop or a meeting with us last January. She was our kickoff for the year, and she talked about object-oriented design. And you can look her up. Just look up Sophia Prater, and it's really interesting that keeps everything alike. You want to keep things alike and keep things together, and know the client's competitors to check out for consistency. Yes, there is a Vanetta, that OOUX Sophia is so great. So if y'all get a chance to go to that, go to it. But if you have the competitors website, you can go see if you can go do a heuristic design, review on their site. And you don't have to get in the code. You don't have to look at any of that. We're looking at usability, right? So if you know the competitors, you can do a heuristic review of them and compare it to yours, and then you're already ahead. So now we have error prevention, minimizing the mistakes, the likelihood of mistakes, making mistakes. Errors should be expressed in plain language, no codes. I don't know how many of y'all remember back in like 1995, there would be an error code Z1227. You're like, what does that mean? I don't know what I did wrong. Errors should be forgiven when and where possible. So again, this one's just a little bit of an overlap of given the user control. But how many of you have killed something, put it in the recycle bin, and then you've had to go and restore it? And you're like, oh, so glad that that's there. And so thank you to whoever came up with that idea. It's awesome. So it saves you from losing a lot of work. It saves a lot of time. So it really helps the user. If you haven't, oh, here's another one, another example. The error prevention. See, it says, do you want me to text the security code to, and it's got the last 4 digits of my phone number, or use my USAA mobile app. And just saying use my USAA mobile app doesn't tell me anything. It's like, get the 6-digit security code. So it tells you, okay, this is what's going to happen. And it's preventing me from making a mistake. It's telling me exactly what to expect. So it can be in 2 different ways. It can let you back out, or it can lead you forward. Also, I don't know how many of you have seen, like in a contact form or something, you're putting in an email and the email says, oops, it's not in the email format, or the date format is not correct, and it shows exactly how it's supposed to be laid out. It keeps you from making that mistake, and it shows you how to do it correctly. So recognition rather than recall. There are 2 types of memory. You have recognition memory and recall memory. Your preference should always be recognition. And see how this one on the this little picture here shows turn left. Well, this has the little to the left. I have friends, I don't know about you, but I have friends who are grown up, some are older than me, and they still don't know the left from the right. And sometimes I don't know, depending on the day. So this really, really helps. Oh yeah, left's that way. And it's, recognizing. And so I don't have to which way is it? Oh, which way is it? So don't make me think about it. Just do it. So yeah, I'm one of those mixed up left and right person, right? And then here's another example. Here's home on 3 different apps. See, they all have a little house, but it's something recognizable. You're like, okay, I know that's a home. And this helps with accessibility. It helps with, other languages and things like that. So if somebody doesn't speak real good English, they can oh, that's a house. That's got to be home. Okay. And they can figure it out. It's making it as intuitive as possible. So make the options, the objects, actions, and options visible. And the user should not have to remember information from one part of the dialogue to another. Instructions for the use of the system should be visible and easily retrievable whenever possible. Recall has fewer cues than recognition, and that's why it's difficult and error prone. And so to help you understand that, like I was saying, recognition is a preference, because you want somebody to say, oh, I know what that means. If you see a sign on the road, you're like, oh, it's deer crossing, or that's rocks are falling, or some, you just see it. You don't have to read it. You don't have to figure it out. It's an image. It's usually an icon. So recalling what that word, after I read the word and what that means in my brain, is harder, and it has fewer cues, and it's harder for me to pull that information in my brain up. But if I see the picture, I'm like, oh, there it is. So that's what we want for everybody. This reduces your cognitive load. And, cognitive load is something that we are competing with the world. We are competing with so much information, and you want people to be able to do what they need to do quickly and not have to think about it. So this is why recognition is better than recall. Flexibility and efficiency of use. So both new and experienced users should be able to use the system efficiently. Accelerators unseen by the novice user may often speed up the interaction for the expert user. This just means shortcuts, So if I could do Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste, I know exactly what I'm doing over and over, and I don't have to do the highlight it and then right click and copy, and so both of us can do the same thing on the same information, but there is a accelerated process of efficiency that allows me to go faster once I get the system down. Okay, so that's what we want to. That helps a lot and gets you over the hump of being a new person versus an experienced person. So this right here is an example. This is on the new update for the iOS. for Apple phones. And you can see that if you mouse over the YouTube, if you mouse over the YouTube, oh, there it is, pointer. I'm trying to get my pointer. Okay, so if you click on this, then this automatically shows, goes down, and it gives you a shortcut with a little icon. So we're still in that recognition versus recall. It gives you a drop down that you can quickly do a shortcut. I don't have to open up YouTube. I don't have to open up the app to be able to go. I just want to search it real quick, or I want to share the app, or I want to create a video or something like that. You can just go to it quickly. So flexibility and efficiency of use with shortcuts, just think about this as shortcuts. And then we have an aesthetic and minimalistic design. So dialogues should not contain information which is irrelevant or rarely needed. So don't clutter it up. It needs to be free of clutter. You need to make sure you're focused on exactly what you want to show them. Why are you here? And when it comes to this kind of thing, I always think of, and I'll just share it with you, I always think of in the notebook when they're arguing, and he's like, what do you want? So just think about, what do you want the user to do? Is it very, very obvious? And if it's not, then it's not aesthetic and minimalistic design. So every extra unit of information in dialogue competes with the relevant information, okay? So I'm just going to show you these because today's a space day, and I was just like, I don't know how many of you saw the launch or the landing on the Mars. If you don't have it, if you haven't, please do. It was awesome. But I was in the space mood today. So I wanted to show you, this is what the Apollo command module inside the rocket ship looked like between 68 and 73. Then they upgraded it to 2011. And now it's a little bit better, at least those little boxes somewhere, and it's a little bit categorized maybe. I still think it's a mess. It takes a lot of training for that. And then this is the latest layout from the SpaceX crew. So I would much rather try to learn this interface than the other one, right? And also, if you look at apple.com or microsoft.com, let's go, I don't know, let's see, can you see this? Can you see that I'm going to apple.com? Yes, no, somebody?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you can see here, they are really pushing the iPhone 12. Is there any doubt in your mind that they want you to buy the iPhone 12? So they have so many products. They have so much stuff, but you have no doubt on what their number one push is, right? Okay. So, Microsoft.com is the same way, and Apple, Microsoft, and Google. You know how big Google is and how many options it has. It only has, what are you supposed to do here? Search. That's it. You can do a lot of other things, but they want you to search, and that is it. There is actually somebody's job. It is to keep this page clean. That is all they do, is say, no, you're not putting it on the website, on the main page. And the reason I'm showing you Google and Apple and Microsoft is those are all trillion-dollar companies that have really spent a lot of money on user experience. So it makes a difference. All right. So help users recognize and diagnose and recover from errors. Remember earlier I showed you the one where you actually put something in a recycle bin and then you're able to recover it. Whew, save me there, right? But this is another email. Enter a valid email address. It has to be in this format. It's showing you. So help them understand this. And again, this is kind of mixed with the other, but you can see in a little while we can leave some of these out if we don't feel like they're necessary. We'll catch it in the other one. But this is just a different view. And then we have the help and documentation. So if the user has a hard time interacting with the app, make sure there is help available, either, a chat, a help, a frequently asked questions, any of those kind of things that will help themselves and self-serve. I don't know how many of y'all are just rather it's, late at night, I'm trying to figure this out. Where can I go and just learn how to do this real quick? And it really is helpful because it's 24/7. You don't have to worry about talking to another person. And introverts don't like to do that. I know I don't, if I don't need to. I was supposed to call the bank today and I just kept putting it off. I don't want to, I'll do it tomorrow. So it's something that I wish I could figure out on my own. And if it's there, then make it easy to read. The documentation needs to be easily accessible and easy to search and focus on the user's task of what they're trying to do. And you can see here on the MailChimp, it's by topic. They've got it, it's like, if I'm wanting to learn about editing and the design, it's right here. So that'll have the frequent, the help topics on that. If I'm just talking about the emails themselves or the delivery of it. So it's sectioned off and it makes it a lot more easy to digest. And so they can, weed out the unnecessary stuff. And it should not be too large and it should be listed in concrete steps. So it's just telling you if you have help and documentation, make sure it's helpful. So the next thing we're going to do is we've got about 15 minutes or so, and I'm hoping, and we've only got like 3 or 4 slides left. So what we're going to do is, now that you know how to do heuristic evaluations, everybody learned it now. What we're going to do is think about specific usability parameters that we might want to test. And these are things like registration, your logout, your email sign up, navigation, a shopping cart, your checkout process. You cannot do every single thing on the website, but if you're finding, let's say your analytics are showing that people are dropping off at this specific page. They're dropping off here, they're going through the goal, they're going through and clicking through to make a process, purchase. And then they stop in the process. What's happening? So that's where you can hone in on that with a heuristic evaluation just really quickly and find out what's happening there. Why are they dropping off? And you may be able to spot it right away. If you're looking at over this list, is it, are they getting stuck? They're not getting feedback from the system. They're, what's going on, but all these checklists to go off of, and you can see, oh, now I know why. They get lost, they can't find it and there's no way to help them. So maybe we need to fix that. So it might be a good quick, catch. So you can pick out specific parameters to check, to test. So you've got 10 items that you're going to check through that whole process. Like say you're going to go to the shopping cart and you're picking out a t-shirt, and then you're going to pick out the color, and then you're going to do all these things, and you're going to do everything it is, like my payment system and my shipping and all of that. I'm going through the whole system and I'm looking at every single step, running that checklist by each step. Okay. And every time you see something that's not there, like, oh, that screen now changes to look differently. That's different. That icon acts differently than it did on the last one. So you're making those notes and you're taking screenshots and you're showing where this issue is placed. So now, if you have a limited scope, we're going to set our scope, define our scope. We're going to say, we're going to check out like 2 things, 2 processes or 2 items. It could be filling out a contact form. It could be any of those things that the user has to interact with the software. So you have to define those, that this is what we do next. So now we have to think about our end users. And this is like, let's say I'm going to be looking at a, dog grooming website. And I'm at the dog grooming website and I'm like, okay, so a user would have to be somebody that's probably over 18 and they have, 1 to 5 dogs or whatever, and they have, or a cat, And I'm looking for something to board. I'm going to board them for 3 days because I'm going on a trip. So I'm going to try to see what it takes to do this. So you kind of put yourself in the shoes of the user and try to think about what you're going to do and say, I was thinking as a mom of 2 and I have 2 dogs and I need to board them, and you try to get yourself in that spot and just kind of keep in mind what the user would be doing, their personal preferences of things. I'm sure they would want it fast. And you just kind of lay those things out. Or I'm an elderly person and I'm just trying to get my dog groomed, so you look at these little things and you're like, okay, I'm looking at it from this point of view. Would I be able to figure that out? So this is, it depends on the project. So knowing your end user and create advanced personas, and this doesn't have to be really, like really dramatic or beautiful layout design. You could just think about those things I was just telling you, just write it down. Okay, I've got mom of 2 and an elderly person that needs grooming, and then the mom of 2 who needs to board the 2 dogs because going on a trip. And so I'm going to run those 2 personas by this, while I'm doing this, and just keeping those users in mind. So then we set up the evaluation system. How will the evaluators assess and report the usability issue? You try setting up a simple evaluation system on severity. I told you earlier we're going to talk about severity rating. And you can do, I've seen several, and the one that I use is like a 1 through 5. And you have like 5 is like, stop everything and fix this now, or something like that. So you've got it really bad, it's critical, needs to be taken care of now. And then you can, decide on the severity of the others down to just annoying, or they're missing a good practice. So depending on your team, if it's just you, you can set up your own system. But I am setting up this one. Oh, you can use traffic lights, red, yellow, green, orange, that sort of thing, whatever works best for you. Whichever evaluation system you choose, discuss it with your evaluator beforehand so you're all on the same page. So there's 5 to 8 of us, we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to scale it. This is how we're going to grade it, and how we're going to gather the information. So evaluators have to keep track of these issues by making a detailed note of where they encountered the issue and how serious it is. And this will help organize the team's backlog later. So if everybody's on the same page. So this is an example of a way you could do it. This is just kind of it's really blurry example. But let's say you took Yahoo's page and they're just highlighting one spot of it and putting a note there, and you can take a screenshot. This is what I suggest that you do first. This is the first step. So what we're going to do is, once you go through and you go through the 2 steps, the 2 things that you've decided, we're going to look at those 2 steps and use the findings that you found. Let's go to the critical ones first. And they've got this scoring up here. Don't worry about that. You can do that if you want, but this is not required. So they're just putting down here, okay, this is a usability type is average, the type of UI, you don't have to put all that if you don't want to. Then all you got to do is put a description. Say the large search bar and button is located above and separated from everything else. So that's kind of an issue. It's not together. It looks disjointed. It's, I don't like that. So, and you can put that to whatever principle that goes to. And so this is just an idea of where you can start. And then, so what we're going to do is I was talking about the dog kennel thing before, but I've decided after looking at it myself, it's just too messed up and needs a lot of help. It was a friend of mine that she needed some help with it, and I've actually turned her over to Firecat Studios to take over. So it was just, oh, okay, Liz, thanks. So if you don't want to do that, I'll suggest you can pick something like Netflix. They do have some issues. Apple, any of those. would be, great. And you can pick out some of your favorite websites even and see if you can tear those apart. And what I'll do is I'll send you the link. Let me go here. I have the link for this. Give the link, everyone. Be an editor, so don't be editing everything. So I'm going to put that in the chat right now. And what I'll go through this and show you what's in it. So we have the intake form. And this is just for your reference for later on. This is an intake form that has a little bit of the information on the heuristics. This is like you're just talking to somebody, or you're trying to give it. Here's the severity rating. So you've got 1 is distracting. It's cosmetic or minor. It doesn't keep the person from doing it. 2 is it's very irritating. It doesn't impede the task, but it's just annoying. And then you've got causes workaround. So that doesn't work. So we're going to have to do it. You can do it, but it has to go another way. And then severe inhibitor. They're eventually able to get it done, but it's a problem. And then critical. We've got to stop and do it now, or it keeps them from finishing completely. That's why they're dropping on. So then you go through and it kind of walks you through all of the evaluation process or analysis. And you can fill in the blanks, use these. These are your systems that you're going to use. Oops. Let's see. I need to just delete the content in here so that not to confuse you. And then we have personas, whichever ones you're going to use. You're going to use the woman the mom of 2, and she's going out of town. So use those. And then you can write down the use cases if you want to. And then the tools that are in there that you want to look at. These are some that I was filling in for another thing. So sorry, I didn't clear that out. But I have another evaluation thing that we're going to go over next week. I know we're almost at time. So next week, we are going to be going over, after we gather this information, I want y'all to find the website, just evaluate 2 things. It can be whatever you want, Andrew. It can be whatever you want. He asked if I needed evaluations on desktops or mobiles, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And just doing screenshots, and you can mark it up however you want to. This is not going to be graded. This is just for your own practice. So then what we're going to do is put all these together and look at this. If you see at the bottom, I've got visibility, and I want you to use this as a prompt for what am I looking for in visibility of the system. So these are just some prompts. These are not, you don't have to follow this line. I told you can go as detailed as you want to, but these gives you something to think about within that same, when you're looking at visibility of systems. What do I look for? What does that mean? So here are a lot of examples of questions that you can do, and you can say yes or no. And I have rigged this up so that if you say yes, no, if you put an X in there, it changes. So, and green doesn't necessarily mean good and red mean bad. So I need to probably change that, because there's some questions that no would be good. So I need to go back and redo that, but we won't do this till next week. So I'll have time to update that. But this gives you some examples of questions. I have questions on each one of them. If you want to go through and just kind of, you can get as nerdy as you want on this, or not even look at this at all. So just to kind of get you familiar with this, this is just an overview. And I don't want you to feel like you have to use all of this or fill it all in. But then we can look at it and, let's say I did this on one website and went through 6 systems or something like that. It was really, really detailed. And now I have a summary of the issues, the severity, the issue that's going, the heuristic issue that it's pointing through, and then comments and a URL of where it's happening, or an image or something like that. But for the sheets, I want to do the URL so that people can go to it and see the issue. So this is just a system that I came up with. Like I said, it's hodgepodge of all the other different areas that I've looked at to come up with the system of how to do it from beginning to end. I hope I did not, mess up your brain too much. It's all mush. Do y'all have any questions? Y'all can come off mute and ask questions if you want me to go over something else, clarify something. I can go a little over if I need to. Anybody have any questions? Everybody's being really quiet. Does this seem like too much? Is this too much to do?
No, I don't think so. I think this is great. So we just need to look at 2 websites for the persona, include some screenshots, and we're all going to come back next week and discuss.
Yeah, I just want you to play around with it a little bit, just to get used to this, and you don't have to use all 10 of the heuristics. You don't have to use, all of the sign-on systems or all of the features in a website. So just do it as much as you feel comfortable with, just to get your feet wet, right? And then, and then come back, and then you can ask questions, because once you do it a little bit, you'll come across things and say, I'm not sure. So you all should have access with that link that I gave you to all of these files. The PowerPoint that I just went through, the evaluation review, just to look at those questions, and then the heuristic intake. Some of it is the same information. So it's going to be in one of those areas. So, and I'm always on Slack. If you're not on our Slack channel, please let me know. I will add you. And I'm always on Slack, and we can talk, before then. Let me send a copy invite. Here, I'm on the chat. I'm sending the link right now to join our Slack channel. So you're welcome, Nicole, and Yuka, thanks for coming. And just join Slack there. And if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed learning about it, and I hope it's not too much information. There's so many ifs. You're welcome, Vanessa. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Andrew.
Sherry, I have a question about this for potential interviews, job hunting. Is this something that is a skill set that people actually expect most UX researchers to know? It's not something you would call out, or is it something, you mentioned? I mean, it seems like something that you just have as part of your foundational skills.
Yeah. Are you talking about the heuristic review?
Yes.
Yeah. So it is just another tool in your toolbox, and it's a method. So I would say the top 3 are user interviews, usability testing, and surveys. Those are the top 3 things that are used the most. And then there's a heuristic evaluation, and let's say, there's over 100, and then you do workshops and things like that. So you need to have a few little tools here and there. But if somebody comes to you and says, I don't even know if we should take this project on, is there a way you can look at the site and see if this is worth even doing? If there's a lot of work here, or is it just, should we just redesign the whole thing? Well, now you have this tool. you can go in and check it all out and make documentation of all the stuff that's issued and say there's like too many critical things. You would need to trash it and start over, you know? Thanks,
Okay.
Lee.
Okay, yeah.
So this is just another tool and a method to use. And yeah, I would say that you really need to be familiar with it. And the team, and again, I like it because it's so flexible. You can go as deep or as shallow as you want, but you can definitely start picking up the signs, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I would put that on my resume if I know how to do it for sure. And even if you're familiar with it, I mean, you're gonna have to redo it, you know, go through and customize it anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking for every tool. Like there's so many different methods and things, but
Yeah.
I know the top 3 you mentioned. I've done many of those, so cool.
Yeah, I got a book called The Universal Methods of Design. And it has over 100 of these, and many of them I've never even heard of.
Is it like a gray and purple book?
Yes.
I love that book. Yeah, I have that
Yeah.
book. I love that book. Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
And they have some weird stuff in there, but if I'm like, oh, they're asking, you know, the client's asking for, you know, whatever, they're asking for
Mhm.
this kind
Like
of
exploratory
method, I can pick it up
or
and say, oh, well, that's the same thing as this and that, you know?
Mhm. It's a great reference book. I do love that book.
Yeah, I love it a lot. Yeah, so as a researcher, this is a heuristic review is something that seems to be, it seems to be difficult for people to get their, you know, their brain around. But you can like guide people, like you have, if you know how to do it, like we can all sit down and do a heuristic evaluation right now. You know, we can all go through and look at it, and you take 2 of the, you know, you take 5 and 6 as far as the, you know, heuristic things and go through it. We're all going to go through the email system. We're all going to go through the checkout system. And you're using the 1 and 2. You're going to see if its system has this stuff in there. And what was the second one? Where else?
There's like the visibility. Yeah, they're like, it's nice if you split it up maybe, or even if you're doing it by yourself, like you don't have to
Right.
do all 10 like you said.
Right.
But yeah.
So if you say, I'm going to do the visibility of the system and the match between the system and the real world and see if there's any issues there. No, okay, that's clean, that's good to go. Then let's go to the next ones. And this is why this kind of gives you a method to where to hit and how to, you know, focus and on what's needed to be usable. So that's why I like it a lot. But it's hard to get your head around if you haven't actually had to do it before.
I have a weird question that's related if we have time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because like visibility of system status, that one sometimes, so depending on which computer I'm on, if I'm on a desktop versus a laptop, because the desktop has more screen real estate, I will see things that I wouldn't notice on the smaller laptop screen, like because it's hidden. I guess it wasn't optimized for a smaller screen, but I don't know what's going on. Like I have no idea like what's happening, and I don't have like a good example right now, but this comes up many times, like even on my work computer, like if I switch from the laptop to the desktop, it's easier for me to see everything. But when I'm on the laptop, because things are hidden or because it's not optimized for that screen, I'm not sure what's, you know, I can't see the whole, like the entirety. Right. So I don't know. And it's like, I guess that's not really, I don't know if it falls under a heuristic concern. Like, I guess it would be kind of like a responsive web design issue, maybe. I don't know if this makes sense.
It could be. I mean, yeah, it could be. It's a, you know, if functionality is lost because of a view change or a program change, and that's something that's really important to do also is whenever you're, you know, writing it down, once you get, if you're going to do this a lot, you would write down, okay, I did all of these, I did this checklist, and I did all of these things on a PC. Now I'm going to do them on a Mac. Now I'm going to do them on a mobile. Now I'm going to do it on an Android, you know? So if you did all of those things in all those ways, then you're going to tear that system apart, you know? You'll find something.
Right.
And you'll see how bad it is. And then say that's why if somebody's on a PC, they drop off because they can't see where the enter button is, you know?
Right. Yep.
And they may not have known that, because that's when it goes into the QA, you know, that's when there's somebody who needs to go back and fix the functionality. And it may, you know, design and layout and usability is not just design. It's not the UI.
Right.
It's the experience, overall experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is not experiencing something because of functionality, they're not, you know, it's not a good experience because of functionality, then that is an issue. That is a usability issue.
Yep.
So development is just as important as the UI, for sure. They all have to work together.
Cool. Yep. Agreed. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Nicole, any questions?
Yes, I wanted to ask you if you have the recorded version of the talk that Sophia Prater gave.
I do, and I'll have to give you a private link to it. So I can give it to you. Are you on our Slack?
No, but I will join shortly.
Okay. Well, just send me a message, and anybody else who wants that, I can send you a link private. She asked that I not make it public. So anybody who has a private link can watch it, but she asked me not to make it public because she does make money off of, you know, classes, things. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you. I'd really appreciate that. But yes, let me join Slack and then
Well, perfect.
message
Great.
you.
All right. Great.
But I do appreciate this talk. Great stuff.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
you'll
you.
be here next week?
Oh, yeah, you betcha.
Okay. All right.
Have a good
Terry,
one.
thanks, you too. Terry, you got any questions? Learn anything?
Yeah, this was great. I really
Okay.
enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad you learned something. I'm not a big presenter and I get stuck on things, but I have passion about it. So I try to
No,
try to share what I know. Huh?
You did, yeah, I think you did great. I mean, it's very comprehensive, but I don't think it was like too much or anything. I think you hit on everything because you do need to go into detail with
Yeah.
these things. So yeah, great job.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, you are welcome to, try to come Monday night if you can. We're talking to the author of this book, Research Practice. He's going to be there for an AMA. And this is basically a book of sitting down with UX research practitioners. And then he put all of them in a category, categorize the themes. It's amazing. It's just amazing. So I feel like I'm just sitting in a room full and I'm picking their brain. It's amazing. So
I think I'm gonna join, but I have a workshop that ends at 8, so I might have to come in the second hour.
oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Monday night, I think we're doing 6 to 7. Is that when yours is?
Oh, I had 7 to 9. Well, my time. So 6 to 8 is when you're doing it, or 6 to 7?
6 to 7.
7. Okay, I don't think I can join because my
Okay.
workshop's 6 to 8. But next
Oh, that's
time.
okay. Well, we're not going to record it because it is an AMA, and those we're going to leave open. So, but yeah, anytime you can join. We're going to have a design workshop coming up in March. We're going to be going. We have a lead designer who's going to be teaching about design systems, and he's got some practical workshop stuff to go over. So these are all good things to learn about.
Yeah, we were just talking about design systems last night in class. So material IO.
Mhm.
I need to like spend some time with it tonight, but it's
a
great.
great resource. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, y'all have a great night, and thanks so much for coming. Rebecca, you hanging on there? Rebecca.
Thank you
Usually
so
it's at
much.
the top of her head. Okay.
All right.
Good
Have a good
night.
night, everyone.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.